All right, this is the 85-inch Sony Bravia 9. Surprisingly, there's not a lot of reviews on this TV, and I wanted to just put my own review out. I'm not a professional reviewer. I'm just an AV enthusiast. I'm coming from an 85-inch Sony X95K, and before that, I had a 75-inch Sony Z9D. So I've got a pretty good frame of reference for high-end LCD and mini LED. I also have a couple 77-inch OLEDs. So I'm not an OLED only guy. I'm not a mini LED only guy. I think both technologies are great. And I think the Bravia 9 is a step up over the X95K, which I thought was a pretty big step up over the Z9D in every department except the blooming control. And I think this is a major improvement over the X95K in blooming control. I think the 85-inch X95K had like 800 and some dimming zones. I think this has 2,800 dimming zones. So finally, it seems like Sony is putting enough dimming zones. I know for many, many years, they were putting a really oddly low number of dimming zones in their high-end flagship LCDs. And just their blooming control after the Z9D just was, in my opinion, unforgivable. So with the K series, it kind of came back to form, and with the Bravia 9, I think it's really at a point where you could say it's close enough to OLED that blooming and contrast shouldn't be a concern. I really, really like this TV, and I think at the current $3,000 price tag, it's absolutely worth considering. I think there's a couple things that would be helpful in pointing out. I watched all the reviews. There were a couple things that nobody mentioned, and so I just wanted to point out a few of those things. First of all, the stand, the legs, when you put them in the middle position, there is almost no gap in between the bottom of the TV and whatever console you're going to put it on. So, and this thing's heavy, so that'll definitely smash your fingers a little bit. So just be prepared for that. Setup was your pretty standard Sony TV setup. I mean, this thing is really, really, really bright. I know you can see some what looks like blooming there, but it's just the camera picking it up. I also do want to say so Sony's anti-reflection layer, I've got a couple of lights here on the side. Those aren't even direct reflections on the TV, but if you have any amount of light, this screen will pick it up and scatter it across the whole screen. So I see what Sony's trying to do with mitigating reflections, but I think you're trading out like the intensity of a reflection for the spreading of that reflection out. And as you can see in a bright scene, you really can't see the doors behind me. But if we let this go and you see anything other than a really bright image, you're still going to have reflections. The argument that OLED is for a dark room and LCD is for a bright room is nonsense. OLEDs look fantastic in a bright room as long as there's no direct reflections, and LCDs look bad in a room with direct reflections. So you can see right there, like, it's not like you can't see the reflections, and that looks, yeah, it doesn't look great. I think there's still more work to do on the anti-reflection layer. But really, you should just block the light, or you're gonna live with it. That's really the way to deal with reflections. See, you can see them there. You either block the light or you're gonna have reflections. That's it. And this my phone is doing a terrible job of capturing what I'm seeing in real life. I'm going to try to adjust the ISO to where it looks more like what I'm actually seeing. That's probably a little closer representation. Excellent TV at $3,000 for the 85-inch. This should absolutely be on your short list. The Bravia 9 Mark II, or the Bravia 10, whatever they're going to call it, is going to be out in a couple of months, and then this is going to go away. So you might see a little bit of a reduction in price beyond what it is now, but probably not a ton. Maybe $2,500 when they get down to the last couple hundred models, just to kind of push them out. But at $3,000, I think it's a steal. One of the things that I also want to bring up that I haven't heard any other reviewer mention is this TV has audio sync issues. If you're running things through a receiver, I've got a Denon 4700H. Anything going through the receiver, has audio sync issues and you have to manually add a delay. I'm on the AVS forums and it sounds like Sony they chose not to transmit audio sync data over eARC, which I think on a flagship TV, that's an unforgivable decision by Sony. And I just can't for the life of me understand why they would skimp on something like that. I mean, I could try to speculate as to why they wouldn't include that, but it's just, I mean, it's unforgivable. So I have noticed that there doesn't seem to be any, or maybe it's just not as bad if you're running the onboard apps. So I may try to go like direct from my external devices into the HDMI ports on the TV. But you shouldn't have to do that. You shouldn't have to monkey with it. It's 2026. Audio sync issues should not be something that you have to worry about on a flagship TV. And it's not like it's a little bit. It's egregious. I mean, you're going to have to probably add, you know, between 150 and 250 milliseconds on your receiver, which is a lot. So that is absolutely, I don't know if that's something that can be addressed in a software update. But Sony, if you see this, that was a wild move to do that. And hopefully it can be fixed with the software update. I don't understand enough about how all that works, but we shouldn't be having to put 250 milliseconds of delay in our receivers. And I don't even think it's the same delay for all devices. I think it's going to be a little bit different. So Sony, if you can fix that, you should. Other than that, I think this is a beautiful TV, definitely a big upgrade over the X95K, massive upgrade over the Z90, which, I mean, we're talking about a TV that is 10 years old, but that just testifies to how ahead of its time the Z90 was. I think this goes head to head with the OLED. From a contrast and black level performance, it's absolutely good enough. And from a brightness and HDR impact standpoint, I mean, I guess I haven't really seen QD OLED, so maybe QD OLED can compete, but on a full screen brightness level, it absolutely can. So great TV, great price. I'm hoping I can get the audio sync issues sorted out. But yeah, if you're considering this TV, I am a high-end TV snob. I only buy high-end TVs. This one is excellent.